And I personally feel like storytelling is the future of marketing.
I love for artists and brands to be themselves, who they are, whether you're on camera or off camera. This is just who you are.
When I realized that we just need to be us, we just need to show storytelling on who we are as a community of people. Yeah.
And if you take us through your day-to-day life and your product just so happens to be your day-to-day life, it makes it so much easier.
For sure.
It makes it takes so much stress off of actually promoting you, because now we're just sharing you with the world.
And we're from all backgrounds, Christian, pastors, from the streets, educated, whatever, but we can come together.
If we did everything right and the song still didn't move and still didn't do what it's supposed to do, we need to reevaluate the song. We need to reevaluate who we were targeting. We need to reevaluate and find the holes in the strategy. Because
Hey y'all, what's up? It's Jazmin J, and we're back with another episode of Business Talks with Jazmin J, where I like to speak to the CEOs and founders in the entertainment, real estate, and nonprofit industry. I like to have these conversations with founders because I feel like there's a lot of things out there on social media that's just not real. So I like to have transparent conversations and talk about what it really looks like to build an organization, to lead an organization, and to be impactful in our community. So I'm excited about today's conversation because I finally get to interview someone from the entertainment industry this season. And so today's guest is a powerhouse executive who's bringing the world of music, marketing, and major brands with the creative edge and business precision. Derrick McKinney is the founder and CEO of Loud Music, an independent label and full-service creative agency that's redefining what it means to scale brands and artist authenticity. Derrick, welcome on the show. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I like that intro. I need that.
Absolutely. So I like to give the people a little background before we dive into all the questions. So take us back. What led you to create Loud Music, and how did your journey from an artist development to corporate collaboration shape your mission?
Well, Loud Music started out of pretty much necessity. I had applied for an A&R job and didn't get it. I was working on a marketing deal and for a large sum of money, and the person was like, hey, another person said you really can't do what you say you're doing. So they went with the other person. The other person robbed them for like $40,000. And I was like, yep, that's what you get. And I just I got tired of stressing over other people's brands and money. So me and our artist, Tim Ned, was sitting in the studio, and I was like, man, let's start a label, man. I got $1. Here's $2. You get one, I get one. I'll be the CEO. You be the artist.
Yeah.
I take care of the business. You do the music. Let's start a label. We was like, bet. I said, let's come up with a name. And he said, man, let's call it Loud. Live out your dreams. I said, let's call it Loud Music. MUZIK. And that was June 6, 2012.
Wow. So even before we dig in all that, I like to go even before Loud Music came. So what were you doing before that idea?
So I was in the music business. I did marketing for independent labels, major labels. I worked for clothing companies. I worked for FUBU for a few years. I worked with R. Kelly on the Black Panties album. I did marketing for the song Chopper Style, Mr. Magic, I Smoke, I Drank, D12 Purple Pills, Ludacris, What's Your Fantasy.
So how did you get into marketing?
It just really came natural. I started off doing street promotions. Me and my homeboys were at a club called Jamaica back in the day. A dude put a bunch of flyers on my window, and I was like, bro, why are you putting all these flyers on my window? He was like, because they paid me like $600 a week each. And I was like, okay. So I went home and took all the flyers, and I called them. I could do this for $300 a week. And then like 3 or 4 of them gave me a shot. I started doing street promotions that led to me working with the Kappa Beach Party. And once I was in those situations, for some reason, it just became so natural to have the conversations of marketing and branding and promotions. It came rather easily for me. And just I've always had a knack for talking to people.
Yeah.
Being able to carry conversations and figure out what people want. Hell, in school, I was the kid. I would sell my Halloween candy the next day.
Yep.
The world's finest chocolate bars, I would always win the person who sold the most candy. I worked for Gap and Baby Gap in high school. I was the #1 denim seller in the U.S. And I was like 17 years old in high school.
Oh, definitely.
So it's always just kind of been a natural thing for me of being able to sell, talk, market, brand, and network with people.
And I'm sure this will come up as we go through the segments, but here at CCN, we're really big on storytelling. And I personally feel like storytelling is the future of marketing. So for someone that has been doing marketing for so long, how do you feel about storytelling? Do you feel like that's a key to authenticity when it comes to marketing, or do you feel like marketing and storytelling are two different things?
I think the answer is all of the above.
Yeah.
Depending on the product, the brand, and the person, what determines how I choose to market.
Yeah.
I love authenticity. I love transparency, and I love storytelling. I love for artists and brands to be themselves, who they are, whether you're on camera or off camera. This is just who you are.
Yeah.
And if you take us through your day-to-day life and your product just so happens to be your day-to-day life, it makes it so much easier.
For sure.
It makes it takes so much stress off of actually promoting you, because now we're just sharing you with the world.
Yep.
It's when artists like, hey, I'm this way online, but offline I'm that way. It never works. It's when brands are like, hey, when the lights are on, we sell it this way, but when the lights are off, we're this way. It never works.
Yeah, definitely. I could see the conflicts that can
All day long.
that can come with that. Okay, so let's dive into it. Music, marketing, and movement building.
Okay.
What was the initial spark behind Loud Music, and how has it evolved into a full creative house over the years?
Man, I just got tired of making other people money and other people rich. If I'm a stress over somebody's product or music or company, I was like, hey, let it be mine.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm gonna lose sleep at night, let it be me. If I'm gonna lose money, let it be me. That's what really sparked it. That's what made me say, you know what, I can do this. A lot of people's favorite artists and music and clothes that they were wearing and listening to and stuff, I was already the person doing the marketing for it.
Wow.
I was already doing the branding for it. So I had the skill set. I knew what to do. And then I would see a clothing company I was working for. They went from $3 million a year to $22 million a year in like 3 years. And then
Wow.
I noticed that, like, wait a minute, my check didn't
It didn't
change.
make that same increase.
So I'm like, and then to have them tell me, hey, you know, great job, you're doing such good work. And it just it didn't feel good at all.
Definitely.
It just did not feel good, where I'm like, you know, the owner of the company is flashing his black card and flying private jets, and you're telling me, thank you, you're doing such a good job. But I'm sending you and your family on vacation year after year after year. So it didn't sit right with me, man. And so I said, you know what? If I'm gonna have this stress, I'm gonna do it for myself.
For sure. And then now doing it for yourself and growing your company, I'm sure you have staff and things like that. So what are some changes you made from your experience with working for other people, and then now you having staff and not wanting them to kind of have those same feelings?
So I allow everybody to be themselves.
Yeah.
Just be great at a high level. Even if you fuck up, I'm cool with that. Just do it at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know, and there's opportunities. I have noticed that people on our team get a lot of opportunities. I took the Kevin Hart approach and the Will Smith approach, to where, you know, if we focus and make sure Loud Music is the biggest brand ever, and the biggest brand we can make it, everybody will benefit. Everybody
Yeah.
will get their own opportunity. So LeBron James' team made sure he was the best player.
Yeah.
Make sure he was in best shape. So now his agent, his best friend from high school, has all of the top players. His other best friend is now creating companies and movies with Jay-Z.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it spins off. Kevin Hart's writers they have their own production deals.
Yep.
And his trainer has a Nike and a Chase deal,
Yep.
because they made sure the product was at its highest. So my team understands it's not about making Derrick McKinney. It's not even about making the artist. It's about making the brand Loud Music as powerful as it can be. So when people say, well, who styled this artist in this video? Oh, Mayoshi's the stylist. Wow, who launched this digital campaign? Well, you know, Bradley is the VP of marketing. Wow, who set this tour up? Who set this show up? Well, you know, this is the management. Like, wow, where are all these photos coming from? Well, you know, Benny is the photographer.
Yeah.
So it's about having pride in what we're doing, but understanding, like, it's very selfish.
Yes.
But I'm gonna make sure I'm doing everything I can to make sure you blow up so I can get what I want. I think the tables are too often turned the other way around. I'm focused on me. And if you just so happen to benefit, cool, but they missed the big picture in that way.
Yeah. I think one important thing you talked about was everybody understanding that. So all the people, they understand this is how we work. And I was recording a meeting this morning that I was sending out to my team, and I spoke about that. I said, I want to get away from everybody feeling like they work for Jazmin. Like you don't work, that's not what I'm creating. You don't work for Jazmin, you work for Community Cultivation Network. And we're all trying to push this brand, like you say, as big as it can be. You know, we want to be a global media partner for events and media, for people in the industries that we serve. And if we all focus on that bigger mission individually, we'll all get what we're looking for.
Every single time. You can't lose if you're moving that way as a team and as a unit. And I think that's the good part about our team at Loud Music. We understand that.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have any yes men or yes women. We don't have any egos. We don't have any pride. Like we can we can check each other.
Yeah.
Because they know, hey, if Derrick is not doing what he's supposed to do, it's hurting Loud.
Yep.
And vice versa. So, it's very important that the team understands the long-term goal. And the reality is you're going to come across a lot of team members.
Yeah.
Everybody ain't going to stay. Everybody ain't meant to fit in. Everybody's personality don't gel. I don't allow everybody around my wife and kids. So if I can't trust you around my wife and kids, no, we barbecue at my house and the staff will come over and we kick it. And if I can't network with you in that capacity, you're not going to fit the mold of our team.
Exactly. That alignment is very, very important.
It's so important today.
Because and as founders and CEOs, is we have to be mindful of that, because one thing can change the culture of what you're creating, and then that will start affecting everyone else that is on board.
We've been there.
10 toes down.
We've been there. We've been there. We've had situations where something just wasn't feeling right. Somebody wasn't moving right, and it may not have been nothing malicious, but it just didn't align with where we're going and what we're doing. Sure. And I could see how that started to affect others. I saw that how it affect the work that was going out. I saw all of that. So I was like, you know what? Hey, let me step back. Let me let you go over there and let us continue to move this way.
For sure. So you've worked with rising artists and corporate giants alike. How do you stay rooted in authenticity while scaling up?
I had to get comfortable understanding that my brain and my strategy and what I do is the prize.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the brand that I'm working for. And I think a lot of people get caught up in titles and brands, like, oh, I'm such and such from this place. Oh, I'm such and such and I work for this company. And I've never wanted to be that. It's me. I'm the catch. I'm the prize, because you're coming to me for a reason. And all I got to do is just stay focused on who I am and do my job at the highest level, and your company will benefit. Whether if it's an indie artist or Verizon Wireless, no matter who it is, I'm moving the same way. I'm not changing how I talk. I'm not changing how I dress. I'm giving you 100% me.
Yeah.
I think that's what works the best.
Definitely. So even with that, like being truly yourself, the way you talk, the way you dress, how do you ensure that there's still a level of professionalism there?
Well, so naturally, I don't smoke. I drink every now and then. I carry myself in a professional way regardless.
Yeah.
So I'm not the rah-rah, standing on couches, pouring out bottles type dude. Like, that's just not who I am.
Yeah.
So, it's like we said earlier, who I am online is who I am offline. I'm able to just so my online thing, if people see what I do online, that attract them to me and wanted to do work and wanted to do business. And so when they meet me and we get that opportunity to actually work together, they be like, oh, it's the same guy.
Yeah.
Like, this is really just who it is and what it is.
Yeah. That's important. And the reason why I asked that is because I think that that's something, because the authenticity word is used a lot, especially in 2025. But I think that with the younger generation, sometimes they don't understand you could be yourself, but there's still a level of professionalism
100%.
that has to be there, to meet your goals. You can't just be doing whatever,
I think that's a huge problem in the Black culture and entertainment. We feel as though that being unapologetically Black means no accountability.
Yeah.
Means no professionalism. I have the right to be hood. I have the right to be ratchet. Like, no, that's not a Black thing. That's not a culture thing. That's an ignorance thing that you're just choosing to do that.
Yeah.
There are so many Black doctors, lawyers, attorneys, judges, president. Like, you can mimik that level of professionalism as well. And that's just as much a part of Black culture as all of the negative stereotypes. So I'm in 100% agreement. That's why even with our festivals and our shows at the House of Blues, the rules are there's no smoking. If you arrive smelling like marijuana, you're not allowed in.
Yeah.
No drugs, no weapons, there's a dress code for the performers and the people attending.
Yep.
Just because, like, yo, we're more than that.
Yeah.
And so, and this, I'm huge on professionalism.
Yeah. And I think it's unfortunate. Like I just sent out a memo Monday that we're no longer doing college events. Now, when I first opened, I did a few and I was like, nope. And then I had enough young Black men coming here and sit at my desk, and I tell them why I don't want to do the event. And they're like, we just trying to so-and-so, we want to do this. And I'm like, okay, for certain organizations, let's see if this works. But these are my rules: no smoking, no this, no that, because I'm a production studio. So if you come smoke this place out and I have to shoot a movie tomorrow, how's that going to work? And that worked out for a little bit, but it always kept coming back to, well, if we went to such and such, we could so-and-so. And I'm like, well, you should book with such and such.
Yeah, please
because
go.
here, there's just rules, and then I want to respect the community. I'm surrounded by homes behind the studio, so they can hear all of that. They can smell that, all of those things, and it's like, for business and where I'm trying to go as an organization, is much bigger than this one party that you're trying to throw for 4 hours.
And most people don't understand that, man. It's unfortunate that a lot of people aren't visionaries. Social media has opened up the language barrier to where people can learn a lot of cool phrases and catchphrases and use the big words and terms and not really understanding the meaning behind them.
Yeah.
And the emotions and feelings that are attached to certain words. And people want to be authentic, and they have a vision, and they got a plan, and they're a brand, and they really don't understand everything they do operates directly against what they're saying.
Yeah.
And so no, I'm all for, no, you ain't smoking in here.
Yeah.
We're not doing those things. So
For sure.
I'm with it.
So culture meets corporate.
Mm-hmm.
You're a master at fusing culture with business. How do you approach projects where the vibe of the music needs to align with the mission of like a Fortune 500 company?
So you know what? It's easy.
Yeah.
I think hip hop celebrated the 50th anniversary a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So now, technically, let's say we're 53, 54 years into hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody under the age of 75 has grown up on hip hop.
Yep.
No matter what race, what gender, what genre, what's your sexuality, you've grown up on some level of hip hop. If you've ever been to a high school, college, or NBA sporting event, or NFL, NBA, baseball sporting event, you've heard rap.
Yeah.
Almost every car TV commercial uses rap. Everything you hear it everywhere. And I think a lot of marketing people got it messed up thinking that, oh no, they only want certain things. Like, nah, man. 13 to 24-year-old white girls download and stream 80% of urban music.
Wow.
So why would you exclude them in your marketing? Why would you think that they don't want to hear this? When you also can go to the rodeo and they'll have a country band performing, but as soon as the country band stops, the DJ immediately plays Ja Rule, Nelly, 50 Cent.
That's so true.
And then you see all of these country white people with beards and cowboy hats and boots and stuff dancing, singing it word for word.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't change it up. I don't exclude them. I'm like, yo, we're going to give this to you the right way, how they want it. Because the fact of the matter is, they want it the way we receive it. They don't want it shaped and tailored to fit them.
Right.
So they want to hear the Jay-Z. I mean, we was in New York doing a Verizon wireless activation. So we was keeping the music cool because the first Verizon was like, hey, let's not be too far left, and we had Demola the violinist playing along with DJ JQ from 97.9 The Box. And a lot of the white dudes that was there, like, bro, we're in New York. You got any Biggie? You got any Wu-Tang? Because they're at a corporate event and they see a black DJ and they see the violinist and they're like, oh, we can get a real vibe in here.
Yeah.
So they was asking for these records, to whereas Verizon was like, hey, make sure you play some soft rock. Make sure you play some of this. And then at that point, I stepped in and was like, hey, Verizon, I got the music. We'll set the tone. We'll make sure it's good. We'll make sure everything is solid. And so that was, I knew it before, but I learned definitely at the end that like, nah, we're not switching it up.
Right.
You rock how you rock.
Definitely.
Because that's what they want to see.
That's what they want to see. And you actually answered my next question, which was specifically about your work and experiences with Verizon and what's your strategy for balancing entertainment and brand goals.
Yeah, like we really set the tone just who we are.
Yeah.
Who we are as a community, as in a culture. We set the trends, we set the style, we set the bar on all these activations that everybody wants to do and everything that everybody think is so cool and innovative when it's just who we are naturally.
Yeah.
We got to be comfortable being naturally us in a professional setting.
Definitely. I agree with that 100%. I think that's what's something special about Community Cultivation Network. All the people that's involved, when I realized that we just need to be us, we just need to show storytell on who we are as a community of people. And we're from all backgrounds, Christian, pastors, from the streets, educated, whatever, but we can come together to create something that's much bigger than us. And that's what people want. That's where the impact comes
You know
from.
what I think is one of the greatest examples of that is what Issa Rae did with the show Insecure.
Oh, yes. One of my biggest inspirations.
And it was a dope show, but she showed successful everyday Black people.
Yes.
Everybody knows somebody who's one of those characters.
Yes.
Everybody doesn't know somebody who was in a reality show who acts that way.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who acts like the Real Housewife. I just don't know them.
Yeah, me neither.
But you know what I'm saying? So but when you watch certain shows and when you see the comedy show Abbott Elementary and you see all the Black teachers, like, I had a teacher like that. He thought he was cool. You know what I'm saying? So there are programs out there that are showing us as just, hey, every day, we're not over the top this way and we're not dumbing it down over here. Like, no, just my natural aesthetic every single day is what's great enough at setting the trends for them over there.
For sure. That's good. Craft and digital engagement. Social media is crowded.
Yeah.
And a little fake. Yet your campaigns break through the noise. What's the key to building organic buzz that still drives real results?
Patience and authenticity.
Yeah.
That's the magic word.
Patience. Talk to us about that.
Well, everything is not going to work every time.
Yeah.
I know artists have it bad if a song don't get so many views, and so they'll delete it and repost it later. They'll do this later.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, sometimes you just got to let it grow. Marketing is the science, promotion is the action.
Yeah.
So you have to promote the promotions. Just because you put it out there as promotion, that don't mean it's going to grab attention.
Exactly.
You got to let people know, hey, I'm promoting this.
Right.
Hey, I'm marketing this. You got to let them know. You got to be consistent. You got to understand what the product is and who the consumer is and how to deliver it to them. We can't keep telling people this is steak. When they bite into it, it's a hot dog.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of, for example, club promoters, it's going to be a movie. It's going to be epic. Get here early.
Nobody's there.
And there's nobody there. Like, how many times are you going to do that to people? To whereas we've made it a point to make sure we, I like to say, we under-promise and over-deliver.
Yeah.
So if I tell you, hey, this event is going to be crazy, it's going to be about 200 people in there, bank on it.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing flyers, radio, TV. We just put 8,000 people at the Black Men's Wellness Walk at U of H, April 26th.
Yep, I was there, and it was a beautiful sight to see.
So we did the marketing for it. We did the social media marketing. We did the TV commercials. We created the TV spot. We picked the DJ. We had Cody performing. So we did a lot to galvanize that audience.
Yeah.
So when we're doing a digital campaign, we're going to have about 50 different versions of the flyer. We're going to run ads. We're going to do email blasts. We're going to do text blasts. We're going to create the engagement. We're going to make sure that whatever we're promoting, we're finding the people who likes this product. And then we're going to go talk to them directly. So with us, by the time you see it online, just know it was 60, 90 days preparation before that day you saw it.
Yep.
Everything that you see from me today was already in the works. So when we did the Black Expo, Sunday we had a panel. I already knew which shots the photographer and the videographer needed to get because I already knew when I was going to post them. I already knew how I was going to roll it out. I already knew the engagement that we expect from it and then how I'm going to segue that into the next thing.
Yeah.
So it's one of the best things about social media is being able to plan out your rollout.
Absolutely.
Like I at least 60, 90 days minimum.
Yep.
And I have all my content ready in a folder. Captions labeled day 1, 7 a.m., day 1, 3 p.m., day 1, 9 p.m. or 6, whatever time. And every folder is already laid out. So we know what's happening for the next 30, 60 days.
Yeah.
I already know what's coming in. So that's the key. Most people they just aren't consistent enough on social media.
Definitely strategizing. It's the strategy that goes behind it, and like you say, making sure it's all there, making sure there's enough time. Because one thing for me, I had to learn and really transition this year is because I'm a big dreamer and I'm an executor. So if I see something, I'm like, okay, we're gonna make it happen. But I wasn't giving these campaigns the proper time that they needed. So we're doing 30-day campaigns, 45-day campaigns. And I'm like, no. The only way we could do a 30-day campaign is if this is something we do every 30 days. So it's very easy to turn around, but other than that, we need at least 60 days, 90 days, 6 months, and we could really do something great. Just giving it that time to actually grow and put that strategy behind it. But one thing I do want to ask you about is sometimes you do all that and it still doesn't give you the results that you need. And I look at it like a lesson.
Right.
And I think more people should do that. So what is your take on like, things are not by mistake. Like maybe we did this just for proof of concept, or maybe we did this so that we can learn. It was a teachable moment for the team. What's your advice to people who do put the strategy behind it and are trying to be consistent, but it didn't give them the results that they desired?
So the first thing is you really have to look at your products.
Yeah.
Like I tell myself and the artists and the team, if we did everything right and the song still didn't move and still didn't do what it's supposed to do, we need to reevaluate the song. We need to reevaluate who we were targeting. We need to reevaluate and find the holes in the strategy. Because the strategies, for us, I know our strategies work.
Yeah.
So if something goes wrong, we just got to figure out that tweak in that moment.
Yes.
You never give up on the strategy. You never quit on the strategy. You have to stay consistent. Even if it didn't work the first time, you got to try the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes everything is just not. It's like asking somebody who's running track and they're running hurdles and they trip over a hurdle. They don't stop. They don't stop and quit the race. They go to the next hurdle.
Yeah.
They go to the next hurdle.
Yeah.
Till they finish it.
Yep.
You have to keep jumping those hurdles until you get through it. And that's it's going to happen. Every strategy is going to have flaws. It's going to have holes. It's not always going to work. It's not always going to happen when you want it to happen. It's things that are happening for me today that are the results of things that happened 8 months ago.
Yep.
Things that are like, man, that really didn't take a hold to take effect the way it should have. But now it's like, oh, they're circling back around.
Yep.
So you stay with it. And that's a huge part that plays into the consistency of it.
Yeah.
Because you may see certain things that don't work. We got to remember that we're putting things out to the world on social media. You never know who's watching and following along.
Yeah.
So they may be watching you do the first step and then the second step. And the minute they see you disconnect, oh, they don't know what they're doing. It don't work.
Yeah.
But if they see like first step, second step, third step, okay.
Yeah.
They'll recognize it. Being flexible and able to pivot when those things go wrong or they don't happen according to plan, that's when you just make that adjustment and keep going. But you never abandon the strategy.
Definitely. I love how you said that. Never abandon the strategy, never quit on the strategy. Yeah. You just have to see where the pivot needs to happen.
Right, exactly. And keep going. That's what I say. I can live with mistakes at 100 miles an hour. It's when you're half-assing it and then you make a mistake. That means you didn't give it a real shot.
Right.
I had a conversation with our artists. We was actually at 50 Cent's Tycoon Weekend when it was in Houston. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to Tim Ned and Cody Blake and our VP, Bradley Johnson. I was saying, man, how you move is everything. You have to move with the expectation, if this goes right, look how it changes your life. Not moving with the reserve of, man, what if I make a mistake and this go wrong? Because now you're moving hesitant. You're moving like, I don't want to make a mistake. But if you understand the excitement of what will happen if it goes right, you moving full speed ahead. Yeah. So you have to move with that excitement. So even with your strategies, you have to move like, listen, when this shit work, everybody's good. Yep. So that's what helps you move at 100 miles an hour. But if you have that doubt and you're questioning like, I don't think this is gonna work, I don't think it's gonna go right, you don't put 100% in. Exactly. You move half-ass.
And it ain't gonna work.
Right. And then you be like, man, I'm glad I didn't go all the way in because it didn't work. No, it didn't work because you didn't go all the way in. Yep.
Man, that's a gem right there. So how do influencer partnerships, storytelling, and paid ads play together in your marketing playbook?
So I stopped a lot of influencer partnerships. Okay. I felt like I would rather turn myself and my artists and my team into the influencers.
Yes, I agree.
The influencers are great for certain things and events and pop-ups and stuff. But if your company is built around an influencer, what happened if that influencer gets caught in a sex scandal? What happened if that influencer goes to jail? What happened if that influencer passes away? What if that influencer endorses your rival product? If you remember, Meg Thee Stallion had the body challenge, and it went viral. But then Erica Banks dropped the Buster challenge.
Yep.
They used the same influencers. But when they did that challenge, it killed Meg's challenge. They stopped listening to it.
Yep.
And then the same people that did the Buster challenge did the red light silhouette challenge. So that killed Erica Banks' record. So people aren't necessarily following your product, they're following the influencer. So no matter how much money you pay that influencer and the attention you bring to them, the influencer bring to you, when that next brand or company hire them, they're gonna take that focus off you and switch it over here.
Yep.
And I was like, why would I do that? So I'd rather take that time and energy and turn Skyra Bliss into an influencer,
Yep.
Cody Blake into an influencer, Fat Pimp, Tim Ned into an influencer, Make Lil Flip a bigger influencer. Now let's turn Derrick McKinney into an influencer to where I know we're always going to hold true to the brand and the audience we attract is there to stay with us.
For sure.
That's our community instead of hoping to piggyback off others.
So this is something I want to add to. When it comes to that, knowing your target audience, right? Because I think that sometimes we just judge our results because it's, say, for instance, we want to reach 8,000 people. Okay, we didn't reach 8,000 people, but it's like, who are we reaching? Like, we need to be specific and understand that everybody is not for this brand. I guess that's what I'm getting to. So how do you get your team to understand that, hey, loud music isn't for everyone, but loud music is made specifically for certain people, and those are the people we're trying to reach?
So we switched up our strategy last year. When we run ads, we only target white, Latin, Asian, and LGBTQ community.
Really?
Because when you go to concerts, festivals, restaurants, movie premieres, movie theaters, unfortunately, the black people are there to be seen. Too many of our people are there to compete. They go to concerts to outdress the person on stage, not to be a fan.
That's insane.
They go to the restaurants to show I'm at this restaurant, not because the food is good. So I had to say, hey, you know what? Let me look at the people who are actually downloading, buying, ordering our merchandise, wanting to pay for meet and greets from our artists. And I just realized it wasn't us.
Yeah.
Then I looked at Chris Brown. I looked at a lot of these guys. I looked at their numbers and their analytics. On social media, we're the most active in the comments. But when it comes time to sell out the tours and the tickets, it's not us.
Yeah.
The minute I changed that, all of our numbers changed. We reach more people, and the people we do reach want to spend money on what we do.
Yeah.
They want to attend our shows. They want to attend our events. They want to meet the artists. They want to be fans. They're not trying to compete with Tim Ned. They want to meet him and take a picture with him and support him and buy his album.
Right.
It's a totally different consumer. And the great thing about our team is our whole team understands that and is on board with that. We've seen enough of it to where it's like, hey, we really didn't have any rookies on our team. All of our executives have worked in some major label or brand capacity at some point.
Yeah.
So they have a great understanding of it. But once we just realized, like, yo, our real consumers don't look like us. It is what it is.
Yep.
If that was true, then we would struggle in hip hop. We would struggle if we depended on just us to purchase our music.
Oh, for sure.
Our merchandise, our vinyl. Like, who do you think is buying these $80 hoodies? It's not us. You know what I'm saying? So once I realized that, now my ads change.
Yeah.
Now when the ads change, the opportunities change. All of my artists have done the halftime shows for the Houston Dynamo. We have performed at every major sporting venue or been a part of every major sporting venue in this city, with the exception of Minute Maid, well, now Dyken Park. But whether if it's House of Blues, Warehouse Live, Rise Rooftop, NRG, Toyota Center, um, Discovery Green, Miller Outdoor. We've been on every single stage in this city
Yeah.
that's major, but that only comes from because we can appeal to all audiences. Comes from our ad set.
Man, look, I'm sitting here like taking notes, right? All right. So this brings us to our third segment, which is the thought leader segment. So for certain things, if you want to speak directly to the audience, you could look directly at the camera. But the art of storytelling, you help artists and brands craft stories that stick. What elements make a brand narrative powerful today?
Man, really, it's just who they are, who you are, and where you're at in the market at this time. Whatever your product. Pepsi spends $600 million a year on advertising. Who don't know Pepsi?
Right.
But Pepsi has to figure out a way to compete with Coca-Cola and any other brand.
Yeah.
Now they got to compete with brands now who promote we're caffeine free. There's no sugar, no high fructose. So you have to constantly compete. So we have to tell a story that resonates with people and reach them where the people are at. What is your brand affinity? What brands are you more affectionate to that means something? Are you a Nike person? Most people who buy Nikes love Apple.
Yeah.
Most people who like Apple got Beats by Dre. Most people got Beats by Dre are listening to hip hop. So it's understanding the product and all the things that they tie into.
Doing that market research.
Yeah, 100%. And understanding where they want to go with their product and their brand. The product they're releasing today is cool, but what is your product release in the next 90 days, 120 days, 6 months from now, a year from now? What is that chain of products, and how do we tie your marketing into them all?
Yeah.
And that way we can keep that story going consistently.
For sure. For sure. How important is it for companies to approach marketing like they're building culture, not just selling products?
I think the consumers are so much smarter now, and consumers are way more opinionated. Consumers can
For
voice their
sure.
concerns right now in your Instagram comments or on Facebook, and millions of people can see it, and that can destroy your brand immediately.
Yeah.
So brands got to be very, very cognizant of the product they're selling and who they're selling to. A few years ago, Mary J. Blige caught all kinds of hell for doing a Popeyes chicken commercial, and they pulled it.
I remember that.
And now then they brought in the black lady as a spokesperson of Popeyes chicken, and then they selling the chicken sandwich. And so they said, oh, okay, we're not going to stop selling you niggas chicken, but we just going to make y'all comfortable. So we're going to give us this lady first. And now you got DC Young Fly doing Church's chicken tender commercials. But now we're in a culture of get your bag, get your money. I have the saying that too often we've put currency over culture.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a problem with Mary J doing the chicken commercial, but if she was on that tap dancing, shucking and jiving with some chicken in her mouth, then okay, that's different.
Yeah.
But if she's in her dress room trailer and this is what she likes to eat on her rider, that's one thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important that brands understand who they're marketing to and understanding their culture. That's why diversity is so important. Diversity isn't just the skin colors that's in the room. It's people actually being allowed to be who they are in that room.
For sure.
Because my experience in that boardroom is far different than somebody else's experience.
Absolutely.
And the value that I bring to the company is my experience.
Thank you for blessing the mic today. So, future-proofing the brand. Your career span music, tech, events, and PR. How do you stay ahead of industries that move so fast?
I study. I watch everything. I read as many trade journals as possible, whether if it's Billboard, Complex, Music Business Worldwide, Digital World Media, whether if I'm listening to stuff on Audible. A little trick that I use is, as I come across events and websites, I subscribe to everybody's newsletters.
Yeah.
And so even though if I can't go to that event, if I can't make it to this event in London that's happening Saturday, I'm still signing up because I want to get the recap. I want to get the keynote address. I want to get the webinar.
Yeah.
I'm so in love with the music industry that I'm studying it all day long. I want to know what's next. I want to be ahead of the curve. I want to be the brand of the future, so I have to think in the future.
Definitely. And I think as CEOs and founders, we have to do that anyway.
100%.
be ahead because you have your team. I talk about this all the time. Like the team here, they're dealing with what's happening right now. Right. But there has to be somebody that's already 10 steps ahead,
Yeah.
laying the path for the future. And that's the role of the executive leadership team as well as, the CEO and founder themselves.
All the time. I agree.
Yeah. So what trends are you paying close attention to that artists and entrepreneurs should prepare for now? Like what trends you feel are on the horizon?
Obviously, we're in the world of AI right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's how it's being used what's going to set people apart. I don't think people are using AI enough in regards to marketing and research as opposed to using it to take shortcuts on creating content.
Yeah. That's good.
I think people should be using AI more for understanding target marketing demographics and taking whoever your competition is, taking their website and their social media profile and putting it into Microsoft Copilot or Chat GPT and saying, hey, give me the pros and cons of this company. What can my company do better than this company? Excuse me, and actually doing the research.
Yeah.
I think utilizing AI will be so important.
Yeah.
I think another trend that people need to be mindful of is removing yourself from social media and streaming platforms. That the direct-to-consumer community is growing so fast.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't want to feel like they have to jump through hoops to get to their favorite artist, music, or merchandise. Social media has gotten so saturated. It's like getting right here on the freeway at 5 o'clock. You know what's going to be right there. You don't get on there at 5 o'clock. That's like waking up, getting on Instagram every day or TikTok, thinking you're about to do something new.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
know what's happening, but if people can wake up and know they just got an email, or can go to your website and see what you have new and only you, and you've curated an audience of 10, 15,000 people that are only there because of you. What if you get 1,000 people to give you $50?
Yep.
I think
Add that up.
that movement is becoming way more important and stronger than saying, hey, I'm on this platform. I got this mic drop. I'm doing this content. I'm doing this over here for this person. It's like all you're doing is running around and making their platforms bigger while you still got to figure out how to get people to you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the AI, I like what you said about that as far as how we use it, because back in November, I did a big rebrand. Well, CC Network did a big rebrand. And when we did the rebrand, it wasn't just logos, it was policy, it was structure, it was, all the changes that we need to do to make our products better. Before we did that, I went to a trip. I went out the country for 2 weeks, and I got to just spend time with the sun and my journals, my books, and God. And during that, I was able to use AI to really figure out, like, I know exactly what we're doing, but I'm like, who needs us? Right? Because we have so much that we could do in this building. We could serve a lot of people. But for this specific product that we're building, who would this benefit the best? And AI told me that. And that's why I know entertainment, real estate, technology, nonprofits, or the people who need the storytelling that we have to offer. But I wouldn't know it like that had I not used AI to do the research that I needed to do.
Yeah, it's important. We got to use it more than creating flyers and creating, like, they keep trying to tell us how AI is going to replace producers and artists, and I don't think so. That's just them trying to prepare us to allow Spotify and all these platforms to load a bunch of AI songs to keep the money and not attach it to an artist or something like that. But we need to use it. We need to use AI more like the business and the professionals are using it to create the marketing, the branding, the strategies, the overviews, the actual content needed. For
sure. So what's your next vision for Loud Music and the larger creative ecosystem that you're building?
My next vision is really focused on the albums we're dropping.
Okay.
Tim Ned has an album dropping, the Late Nights in London Deluxe version. Skyra Bliss has her project, A Purple Girl in a Purple World, dropping. Cody Blake has the Cody Blake mixtape volume 1 coming. Fat Pimp has his new album, But You Can Call Me Chris. That's going to be a masterpiece.
Yeah.
That's going to be a masterpiece. I'm excited about that.
Definitely.
We have the Make Music Day Festival coming up June 17th through the 21st. Loud Fest November 1st. A few other things that's in the pipelines that's going to be coming that should be significant. But it's really, I focused more on creating timeless music and executing timeless music for our community.
Definitely.
The mass marketing will happen, the mass reach will happen, but I'm more focused on the 20, 30, 40,000 people that are in our system, in our database, that we know that just like, okay, I know I can talk to them every day and somebody's going to listen.
For sure. For sure. Okay, I got a few quick questions for you before we close out. What's one branding mistake you see too often?
People calling themselves a brand and they're not.
All righty. Favorite concert or festival you've ever produced?
The loudest night in the city, April 3rd, 2025 at the House of Blues.
I know that's right. A book or quote that keeps you grounded?
Relentless by Tim Grover, the book, and Winning by Tim Grover, the book.
Okay, I need to check those out. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice before starting loud music, what would it be?
Start it sooner and go harder.
I love that. I love that. So, Derrick, you're a reminder that creativity and strategy together can change industries, which is why I'm so happy you were able to accept our invitation and come on the show, because I just believe conversations like this is so needed.
No, thanks for inviting me.
Yes, thank you for your wisdom and vision today. How can artists and entrepreneurs or brands connect with you and the team of Loud Music?
Just our website, loudmusic.com, loudmusic.com. Social media at official loud, or hell, if you just reach out to me, Derrick MC, Derrick MC. Either way, somebody's gonna respond.
I love that. Love that. So to our audience, remember, building a brand or career isn't about chasing trends. It's about leading movements. Until next time, keep creating, keep connecting, and keep leading. Thank y'all for tuning in to Business Talks with Jazmin J. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all on the next episode. Peace.